Welcome to Work From Your Happy Place, the podcast that equips you with the tools, know-how, and motivation to live your dreams and find your happy place. Be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter for a recap of the week's guests and a preview of what's in store. To sign up, simply text the word Happy Place with no space to 33444. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce the host of Work From Your Happy Place, Belinda Ellsworth.
Hey everyone, it's Belinda Ellsworth here with your Tuesday tip, and today we are going to talk about attitude and expectations, because the expectation that you have and then the reality of what occurs oftentimes can create a feeling of disappointment, frustration, stress, when in reality, do you have the right expectation? When I first started out in sales, I was in my 20s and I was newly married. And I remember my husband saying to me, "You are like an emotional roller coaster and you are driving me crazy." And I remember thinking about that. First, it was a little off-putting, but then I gave it some serious thought. And one day things would go really well and I would be really, really up and my emotions would be all over the place of excitement and energy and wow, I was on fire. And then I would have something that would happen. And maybe it was a cancellation. Maybe it was a canceled order. Maybe my sales weren't as high that month. And then I would be what? Devastated. And then I would be kind of depressed and down in the dumps. And I would start to question whether this is really what I should be doing or not. And so I was all over the place emotionally. But then I really thought, why am I this way? And so I want to talk a little bit about the analogy of a roller coaster and then how I started to see my business in a different light and how this might help you as well. So think about a roller coaster if you've ever been on one. And I'm sure every single one of you have experienced that at some point in your lifetime, maybe not. But when you first get in, you are going up and climbing that first big hill. And you're going, and it is slow. And you can actually hear the clacks on that roller coaster, like clicking each one as you are going up. And then you start to get this anticipation, right? And it's like this energy and adrenaline that is so high because you crest that top of it. And then you're in for this incredible ride of twists and turns and ups and downs, and you are basically just hanging on for dear life. Sometimes you'll even flip upside down when some of the newer roller coasters, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. And then you get to that sort of bottom, and then you gotta what? Do it all over again, where it's a slow go and you got to trek up and you got to stick with it and get to the top of that hill for you to go on another ride. And so I really started to think about that. And so for some of you, you can think about that you need to kind of stick with it because you're going to get to that crest. But this is what I really want you to think about. And this is where it will help your attitude. Along that ride, just like with the roller coaster, I said there's going to be ups and downs and twists and turns and upside down. Well, that's how life is. So our expectation that it's always going to be great, that everything is always going to run smooth, that my sales are always going to be bigger than yesterday's. And unfortunately, that is how salespeople think. They always think, oh, I just had a $400 sale. Oh, my next sale, I had a $600 sale. And then I had an $800 sale. And then you go back and have a $400 sale and you're super disappointed. But you still have made $150 in an hour or $300 in an hour. And so why are you disappointed? You're disappointed because it didn't continue to go up, 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 up. And you know what, guys? Nothing ever continues to go that way. So I started thinking of myself and my emotions because I realized my emotions were affecting myself, they were affecting my business, and they were affecting the people around me. So I started to envision myself more as a caterpillar. And I know that this probably sounds crazy for some of you, but it got me through the way I viewed my business and the way that I controlled my emotions in regards to my business. And so I would think I'm going to have a little up and then I'm going to have a little down and then I'm going to have a little up and then I'm going to have a little down. But as long as I continue to carry on inch by inch, I don't have to take a wild ride. I can just continue to move along, knowing that I'm going to have ups, I'm going to have downs, there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, but as long as I stay on the course, I'm going to see success. That one analogy changed everything for me, not so much in my behavior, but it changed my thought process. It changed my expectation. It changed how I reacted to situations. It's just like if we want to switch our analogies, it's like we're not going to have a sunny day every single day of the year. You're going to have days that are cloudy. You're going to have days that are rainy. And then you're going to have big, huge storms that are going to happen. And you know what? This is just part of life. It's part of nature. It's part of the course. And we don't say, oh, I know sometimes we get disappointed that it's rain, especially if it'll rain for days on end. But we don't say like, oh, there was a huge storm. It's wrecked my entire, everything. No, we weather that storm even when it's a really, really bad storm. And I want you to think about that too. Think about some of the really, really bad storms that have happened. And what happens with that? It's when you usually see a lot of change. It's when you see a group of people coming together to support one another. You see community. You see acts of kindness. You see businesses that needed to probably upgrade or change their businesses because suddenly maybe there was a lot of damage done. So when we see people come out of it, we see really great things that oftentimes come out of a big disaster or change. Now, does that mean that that's what you're going to have in your business? No, it's how you react to it. When we have a big, challenge or disaster, we don't say, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this? You might say that initially, but then you pull up your sleeves and everybody dives in and you do get through it. And you get through it with the help of a lot of people. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to use the storm analogy, because when that happens, say a hurricane or a tornado or a flood or any one of these things that can happen, everybody around you knows about it. And that's why they pitch in. If you have a big, huge tree, laying across your yard or laying across your road, the neighbors will all come together and say, here, let us help you move this. Let's help you figure this out or get your car out of this situation or whatever the situation is. We've had a tree land on our roof and completely come through the top of the roof and then have a big hole in the top of our house. And then we had the neighbors all come together and people got up there and they put plastic over it until we could actually get that assessed so we wouldn't have rain actually coming into our house. So they knew about it. And so often when we have turmoil or situations with our business, we keep everything to ourselves. We don't allow anyone to know what is going on because we think we can figure it out on our own. We do not ask for help, and we do not allow people to see in where they might have a solution. They might be able to offer some mentoring. They might be able to pitch in and say, we went through this exact same thing. Or, oh, you're needing this. We have extras that we're not even using in a storage unit. Here, take this. You can't get any of that if you don't ever ask for help or let people know what you are going through. So today's message really is just about, one, what is your expectations? Do you always expect everything to be perfect? Well, it's not going to be. So then how do you react when it isn't? Are you expecting everything to always rise and be better than it was the month before or the season before? It probably isn't, because sales goes in cycles. And so you're going to have to learn that as a salesperson, we can start to move our sales average up, but it doesn't mean we're always going to do better than we did the last time. And how do you react when it isn't? Are you saying, okay, let me look at my averages? Last Tuesday tip, I talked about numbers. If you don't even know what those numbers are, that's where you can really fall down this trap, because you should know what your averages are, because this way you average it out. It's the same thing with basically just sticking to it. And we'll go back to the, roller coaster analogy. Yes, you can get strapped in for the ride of your life, or you can decide that you are in this for the long haul, that you are going to continue to work your business knowing that you are going to have ups and downs, and you can be the caterpillar. And you can decide that you are going to continue to move, and just think about the life of a caterpillar and when it turns into this beautiful, beautiful butterfly. So I hope these analogies are helpful for you in just getting the right mindset, because that mindset and how we choose to show up every day and how we choose to handle the situations that are thrown at us, because we are all going to have them. That's why I say that COVID was such a disruptor, because it was a storm that lasted, and then that became the norm of our lives for 18 months. And that's why many people now have found a new way to work. They have found a new direction to go into. They have survived this and come out the other end and saying, I don't know that I want to go back to the way that it was. And when you live in that space for that long of period of time, people now have adapted, and their expectation is different about what they want for their lives, about what they're willing to put up with or what they're not willing to put up with. Maybe it's time for a complete new career choice. That's why we're seeing so many people go through this, is that storm lasted for a long enough period of time that became their reality in their expectations of, no, I don't want to go back to the way it was before. So I just want to encourage you to really think about what you're doing on a daily basis. How are you showing up mentally for your business? What are your expectations? And how do you respond to things when they don't go exactly the way that you thought that they were? Are your expectations too high, or are your expectations reality? Are you basing those on a feeling, or are you basing those on numbers that you actually are trying to do slightly above? You see, when we actually know what we're doing and know where we are, and this is what we covered last week in our Tuesday tips, knowing your numbers. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that one, you might want to go back and listen to it, because it makes a huge difference in the way that we feel about our business. And do feelings matter? They sure do, because it's the way you show up, and it's the way that you go up, and it is the way that you respond with others. Hope you enjoyed this Tuesday tip, and we will see you next time on Work From Your Happy Place.
Thanks for joining us at Work From Your Happy Place. If you like what you hear, please share it with your friends, and be sure to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher. For a free gift on finding your own happy place, please visit workfromyourhappyplace.com and click on the free audio button. Thanks again for listening.